Hey guys, welcome back to another short tutorial. This time we are looking at Cinema 4D and this is just the very basics. So I'm using the latest version, which is R18. I have the studio version. So basically this tutorial is just very short on how to get some text in there and extrude it. Basically there's two ways for doing this. I'm working on a PC, so my shortcuts are for the PC. I'm not sure about the Apple version. So basically the free shortcuts you should definitely learn to use in Cinema are these three up here. So the move tool, the scale tool, and the rotation tool. So the shortcut for this one, for the move tool, is E. The shortcut for scale is T, and the shortcut for rotate is R. Okay, so knowing those will come pretty handy on every project you basically will be doing in here. So this is the window you'll be working in, and you use the Alt on the keyboard. If you hold Alt down and then hold your mouse down and move your mouse around, you'll basically rotating around the 3D world. So right now you see the crossing here in the middle. This is your axis. So you have your C space here, you have your X and Y axis. So we want to create some text, and basically there's two options to do that. Maybe I'm not an expert, so maybe there's some other ways, but I'm just showing the very basics. Okay, so go up to your object tools, and sorry guys, go to your pen tools, hold down the mouse, and then choose the text. That brings a text layer into the window, and you have your text layer up here. So with that selected in this text field, you can basically just enter, change it to whatever you want. So we just write Cinema 4D here, and the move tool again. Right now it's selected on the move tool E. So you remember the shortcuts: E for move tool, R for rotation. If I hit R, let's see. Then we have the rotation tool. If I hit E, we'll go back to the move tool. So now, right now, I want to move this so we can actually see what's going on here. I had two. It's too much. Okay. So let's extrude it. With this Cinema 4D now selected, what we do is we go up to the surface tool here, and then you'll choose extrude. Put your text layer under extrude, and now it's extruded. So now you have some depth. And let's see what else we can do here. Let's change the font. You do that over here. So Oswald, and then to actually give it some more depth, you'll have to select the extrude and go down to your movement. Here you have your X, Y, and Z, and this is a set value you want to change. Right now it's 20 centimeters. By the way, my value, I've set that to centimeters. You can change your values up in edit and preferences here. So let's see. I want to increase that. Look at the depth. Looking good. And go to caps. It's looking too sharp right now on the edges. So I want a little bit roundness in there. So that's what you use the caps for. So the start caps, choose fillet cap, and for the end cap, choose fillet cap. So I'll scroll in with my mouse key, or you can also use these tools up here. This is the zoom in. If you hold down the mouse on this one, and then move your mouse forward or backward, it's gonna zoom in or out. And this one is your rotation tool. If you hold that down, you can rotate. And this one is the move tool, up, down, left, right. And remember the Alt key on the PC, hold that down, and then move around, you rotate around again. Okay, let's give it some more roundness. So back to the fillet cap start, you use the steps. So let's look at that. Give it 5 steps. 6. Okay, that looks good. So let's see. Remember these 3 up here. These are also important free tools. These are your render settings, and basically when you hit this button, it will render out a view where you see your actual scene being rendered out. This one will actually render out to picture viewer, which will be your output file, the one you actually will be sending out to your desktop or your storage location. So this one is the edit render settings. So in here you'll press that. Here you can see your width and height on the window right now, your working area, and you can see your frame rate, and frame rate is selected to current range current frame right now. By default there's 90 frames in a Cinema 4D, but we only want to render out one frame, so that will just be applied to this current frame. You could use all frames or current frames if you want to add multiple frames, but we only want to render this one out. For the effects, you press that. There's two things we want here: ambient occlusion, and we also want the global illumination. This global illumination will deselect that for now. This is really taking many resources on your computer. This can make your computer lag totally, so be careful with using this setting here. Ambient occlusion, just give it some more contrast, some more shadows and those kind of things. So I'll leave that at the default settings. And let's see, for materials, you can create your own materials here, but for the sake of tutorial, I'm just gonna go in and choose some presets from Grayscale Gorilla texture kit, and we take Rod Redmond's texture. Let's just drop a few in there so we can see what's going on. Plastic Thomas, Tonga. Okay, as I double click them, we have our materials down here. Let's go back to the object. Okay, so also want to create something, you know, we can reflect on, so we need a floor. For that I'm gonna choose plane. For the plane, let's make it bigger, 4000 and 4000, like that. Okay, and let's hit some material to our extrude. Let's see how this candy will go. You can press down and hold release it. Let's see. So let's render out this now to see how it look like. Okay, you can also see that with the ambient occlusion really gives you this a little bit more realistic, and the caps we used, the fillet caps, that gave that little bit roundness here, so that also looks good. So another tip while you're in here, if you want for example 2 colors here, let's take the red one, put it in here. So with the red one selected, the tag property for that, you can go to the selection and either write C1. You see that? What happens? So it goes in and only colorize that red color on the inner text. So all the other extruded bevel will actually be the blue color. If you want to the other way around, just write C2. Now it's actually on the back side, which we can see here. Okay, so that's also pretty cool that you can do something like that. Let's go down here, adjust like that, and let's make another render view. Let's see how that looks like. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. So let's also drop in some lights in there, and another one, and a camera. So if you hit the camera enable button, or this one over here, camera object, and it becomes white, that means this is your view this is your start point. So this is how you will start. And if you want to work offline, well, not recording it, or not seeing at this view, just disable it, and then you can move your view as you want. And if you hit the camera enable button again, you in there back in, and disable it, you'll back to the other view. And now we want to take the lights, and I want to see it in 4 views. So this window has Cinema 4D is incredibly initiative regarding this. So hit this area button here where you have the 4 different views: the top, the perspective, right, and front. So for the top, no, we want the front. For the front, let's pick the one light, go left, and move it up. Let's do the same thing with the other light. Go to the right, move it up like this. Let's go back to the perspective view. So whatever view you want to go in, you just click on this right corner border. Okay, let's zoom in here. Let's, with the light selected, let's also go down to the shadow and choose shadow map soft. Do with the other light also, shadow maps, shadow map soft. Let's make another render view. Let's see what's going on here. You can see we generated some shadows here, so that also looks pretty cool. So, but that's too dark for my taste. So let's see if we somehow can do something with that. So maybe with this light, choose a spotlight, make it big, rotate it, hit the R so it looks downwards, a little bit to this, and make it even bigger. Okay, and then let's enable the camera again. Let's hit the button now. You look, yeah, that actually looked pretty cool already. So that was the one way with the text. You can create some cool, nice looking text in Cinema 4D, and remember, you can use any font you want. So this is really nice intuitive program. I mean, if you change the font, it's going to change with all these settings you have on right now. So let's go ahead, delete the extrude here, which were our text was a child of. So let's go the other way, which is the easy one. You remember we choose the text tool, the pen here, and then choose the text tool, and then we went in and made an extrude object above it. So you can also go to MoGraph and just choose directly MoText. If you do that, let's hit the E key for movement, and we have an extruded text already. So you taking it with one click instead of the two extra options. So with this one, you already have the caps on. You can give it a fillet cap, also the end fillet cap. For the text itself, go into object and just change the wording in here if you want. So number 4D, change it to another font like that. And here, instead of the movement where you gave it some depth, here we'll use it actually the depth value itself. So just hit that, and it's gonna extrude out. Right now we haven't applied any material to this text, so let's just hit the render view and see how it looks like at default. Not pretty bad, right? Okay, so that's just two easy ways how you can do these kind of things, and this is really basic stuff. I mean, I think this program is so ridiculous fun to work with. I mean, by no means I'm an expert. I'm an average user. Do this but just by hobby. But I love it. I love how fast it is to learn to actually integrate 3D with motion graphic, visual effects in After Effects. So if you have the After Effects, the Cinema Lite version ships with that. But if you have the studio version, you can just set it to use the studio version instead, so you have all the capacities available for you, instead of where the light version is more limited than this. But for text and such easy basic stuff, the light version works pretty good. I will definitely recommend using Cinema 4D, but we will also be covering some other tutorials regarding how to do some actually advanced stuff rather than just text. Such as bullets, glass, breaking buildings, so those kind of things. So now you have your text. So how do you get that out as a render, as a file on your desktop? So we talked about these three settings before. Go out to your render setting here, click on output, then these are the dimension you'll be outputting at. 1280, 720, and resolution 72, and then frame rate 30. But again, we're not gonna think about the frame rate because we are only rendering out one frame. We choose current frame, which is frame 0. So here's the one you're gonna be thinking about, the save option. Where do you wanna output to? So we'll just choose my desktop, give it a name. 2BD, save, and we want a TIFF file or Photoshop file, or QuickTime Movie if you're actually rendering more frames, but this is just a single image file of 1 frame, so I'll actually leave it at TIFF and 16-bit. This will be the name. If you have multiple, it will hit the name and then the frame number and then .tiff. So do you want the alpha channel also? So you want the background here, which we haven't covered any material. If you want that in alpha, click this. And if you are actually getting it out to After Effects, you would use these settings down here. But we won't go into that right now, because on another tutorial we will also see the integration between Cinema 4D and After Effects, because After Effects comes shipped with the Cinema 4D integration in there, just a light version. So that will be and seamlessly, flawlessly integration between those two, working so fast together. So the 3D part will be rendered by the powerful engine of Maxon on the Cinema 4D part, and then you have the visual effects if you're adding any for color correction in there from After Effects. Okay, so now we have these settings set up. You can close the window, and instead of, if you just hit this render view, remember it will just render inside your working area, and this will just show you how your render will be. So if you go to this one, this one render to picture view, that will actually render out the file. Hit that. Here's how the render starts. 1 frame, done. Then if I go to my desktop, I can see it's here, 2BD TIFF. Open it. Here it is. Remember, this is cut off because it's just an alpha channel. That's why we choose alpha. That's why it's symbols in there. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. This was just a short tutorial. So now hopefully you can make some cool 3D text from Cinema, import it into After Effects, but the important part, we will see that in another tutorial. But this was just to get you covered and started on making some nice looking text inside Cinema 4D. So guys, remember to subscribe, and then see you on the next tutorial. See you.